barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to join the Patreon. I'm gonna walk you guys through my vacancy I have right now. I'm going through an eviction right now, I may be purchasing a new building. Hopefully, the next, if it bodes well, I'm trying to get this building the owner wants a 1031 exchange so they can stay in the same tax bracket. So I don't know how long that's gonna take till they identify their new property. So I want to talk about this Lomachenko that's going on. You guys know I did a video, man, it's been about 2 years now since I did that video saying I'll bet Lomachenko blind. I didn't bet Lomachenko this weekend. It was 4,000. Got to bet 4,000 to win 100. I figured I can get my money in a little better. So I didn't touch this fight. I anticipated betting. I should have put 8,000 to win 200. But if I lose that shit, I mean, it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? One punch changes everything. But even though I knew Lomachenko would win, or I believe, well, knew now because the fight is over. But I didn't bet the fight. I didn't touch the fight. I contemplated betting a knockout because those were better odds for me, but I didn't do it just based off of Lomachenko's style. And it's, you know, so even though he's knocked out with his last 7-8 opponents, if I'm not mistaken, I just didn't feel comfortable with Pedraza because he's a durable opponent. And that's what, and before I get into Lomachenko, I want to talk about Pedraza. Every division has these type of opponents, you know. Now we got the Robert Guerreros, the Aaron Martinez's of the world. No disrespect to Devin Alexander now. He's one of those guys. Pedraza is one of these guys. B.Y. Jennings is one of those guys in the heavyweight division. They just durable, competitive guys. And they don't lose rounds by much, but they lose. You know, like, you can outrun them anytime you want to. You know, but because they're at this level, you know you don't have to be at 100%. And very competitive opponent. They're gonna come and compete, believing that they could win, especially when they're a former world champion, like many of the guys I just listed. The former world champions typically have that medal, you know, where I'm capable of regaining what I once was, you know. So from that standpoint, I will say Pedraza did his job. He did what he was supposed to do, go to the later rounds, and he ended up making it to a unanimous decision. And but now we got Pedraza out the way. Let me talk about Lomachenko for a second. Lomachenko has hit a ceiling, right? He is who he is now. You know, I'm not comparing him to Floyd, but when you realize we've seen the best of a fighter, we as fans get complacent. You know, I believe we've seen the best of Lomachenko, and his best is good enough to beat everyone at 135. You know, Tank is not at 135 now. They got about 3 or 4 fights even that conversation can even be had, you know. So I don't know if they'll be different fighters by then. You know, Tank is obviously much younger than damn, look at this view. Wow. I want to take a picture of this view. Wow. Snow-capped mountains behind the city landscape. Looks fucking amazing. I wish I had my camera on me. But I'll say this. He's good enough to beat most opponents at 135. Because he's capped out and we know how he's going to win fights now. You know, he's going to outmaneuver you, out-angle you. He may potentially out-punch you. He's definitely more accurate than the opponents he's faced. You're going to have to outdog him. You can be more skilled than him in a certain category. But as the overall fighter, he's tough to defeat. And this is coming from a guy who's bet on him blind the past couple of fights. You know, if I can get them low odds, I'll bet on him blind. You know, I believe his skill set is that high. And you're talking to a guy, I need to get back on predicting fights, but it hasn't been no 50-50 fights, you know. I'm 27-1-2. The draw last weekend with Tyson Fury. So it hasn't been, the next 50-50 fight is what? Caleb Plant and Uzakaki. So I got Caleb Plant winning that fight. So I'll be 28-1-2. So Um, so you're talking to a guy who's done a hell of a job at predicting under 70-30 fights. And I think Uzakaki and Caleb Plant is 55-45. I think the betting public will go with Uzakaki because of how he beat Darrell. Darrell is the biggest opponent that either one of them has faced, and Uzakaki made him look pretty average 2 times, even though it was a disqualification or no contest on one of the fights. So as I digress back into Lomachenko, he's fucking good, man, and you gotta accept it. Do I want Lomachenko to lose? Am I tired of all this hype? If I'm not betting on the nigga, I want him to lose, man. Like, I'm tired of him. But he's fighting, we know he's fighting inferior opponents. And I know how great Gary Russell is. So I give him credit for that fight. You know, I'm a huge Gary Russell fan. I love the fact that boxing is a family business for the family. I love the fact that he's very proud of who he is. He only moves in one direction, his direction, and I love that about Gary Russell. I literally spent a lot of time with Gary Russell when I was there in May, and we had some, man, when I say we had some great conversations, we had some hellified conversations. So with that being said, I give him great credit for Gary Russell Lomachenko. Now Lomachenko maybe biting off more than he can chew at 140. I think 140 might be a bit much for him if he decides to go up there. 135 is probably the highest he can go. You know, I think 135 is his limit. 140 against a guy like the kid from New Orleans, Hooker, if he uses his length. Even Salcedo will be a hell of a fight for him at 140. You know, he's a top-ranked fighter. I think Lomachenko would beat him at 140 because of his accuracy and the lack of defense by Salcedo. But that would definitely be an entertaining fight. I think Top Rank needs to put Lomachenko in an entertaining fight. He's just reached his ceiling. We're not getting nothing more from Lomachenko. He's a 30-something-year-old fighter. I think he's 30-something. I feel like he's 30-something years old. He may or may not be. He doesn't speak English that well. So we're not going to get nothing, quote-unquote, astronomical from him moving forward. You know, he is who he is. And now, since the ceiling has been set, his bar has already reached its apex. His fan base will start declining. And the haters will start coming out because we've seen the best of him. He's not getting better. And he's going to beat everybody one way. The same way Floyd is the greatest example of that. We saw Floyd's greatness, and there are 2 fights. Well, I mean, Arturo Gatti, he made Arturo Gatti look like an amateur. Arturo Gatti, landed 8 punches that fight. Diego Corrales, and in my humble opinion, Miguel Cotto. We saw the greatness of Floyd. It capped out in those fights. Those were 2 different phases in Floyd's career. The money May was Diego Corrales. He knocked him down 4 or 5 times. You know what I mean? Just obliterated him. You know what I mean? And Cotto pushed him to the brink of where Floyd, I believe Floyd's never been pushed in a fight like that before in terms of the sense of urgency. Some people may say Maidana, but Maidana wasn't skilled enough to take away something from Floyd. You know what I mean? Cotto took stuff away from Floyd that made Floyd go to a alternative plan. Floyd didn't have to go to an alternative plan against Maidana because he knew Maidana would slow down in the second half of the fight, and he would be able to win definitely the later rounds, and which he did in both fights. So yeah, man, it's just, and that's my opinion on him. You know what I mean? Do I respect him? I mean, I respect him as a fighter. Do I root? Like, here's the question: do I instinctively root for him? No, but I know he's a money-making machine for me. You understand what I'm saying? I know he's gonna make me money on that betting line, especially if he's fighting these guys who's coming up in weight. When he starts fighting the guys who's coming down in weight, you know what I mean, like a 140 guy who fought at 140 and he squeezed into 135, who has 147 power. then we'll start getting more and more discussions about Lomachenko. But Lomachenko controls his own destiny. Aegis and Bob Arum are working well together. So I wouldn't expect Lomachenko to be in a tough fight no time soon. I don't know. I honestly don't know who these guys fight, man. They're definitely gonna have to pay for these guys to be in tough fights. Once Fox go live in 2 weeks, it's gonna be, when you guys see those ratings, it's gonna be amazing. The build up to a PBC fight for Charlo is the NFL. The NFL goes live on Saturdays, this Saturday. So that means next Saturday, Fox will go live with the NFL game, and that's going to be the lead into the Charlo's fight. That's crazy. That's crazy. You're building in on a network of 30 million people. God damn. That's insane. So imagine that. So anyways, man, I just want to reach out and touch you guys. That's my opinion on Lomo. I don't respect them. I don't respect them per se. I don't respect that whole conglomerate because of how they maneuvered Sergey Kovalev. You understand what I'm saying? So as it relates to that, I'll birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean? I grew up with an understanding of how Russians view black people, understanding how they view Americans, and second, how they view black people. So from that vantage point, it is what it is. So anyways, man, I salute y'all. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to join the Patreon. I'll be putting up another video today, day 3 of the apartment. I'm gonna go do a sprint boxing workout right now. Like, I literally got to get in the gym for an hour and a half, and then head to work and make it happen. So anyways, man, barbershop conversations, man. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. I genuinely appreciate you guys, and let me know what you guys think about Lomachenko. Do you think Lomachenko can get better? Do you think he's as good as he's ever gonna be? Like, you guys tell me in the comment section. But I think as it stands right now, Lomachenko is a hell of a fighter. I think we got to put our bias aside when we're breaking down fights. If it's gonna be a tough fight, it's gonna be a tough fight. Like, if the other guy is better, the other guy is better. He's the underdog. You understand what I'm saying? So moving forward, especially when you got money on the line, like many of these fights, I don't tell you guys a lot of times, but I have money on these fights, man, because I think I can predict fights very well, and I rarely lose. If I told you hypothetically I can make 5 figures a year betting on fights, shit, why not? So it's really, really, really easy when I know what they do, when I know their lifestyles. See, that's the difference. Betting insiders, they know their lifestyles. Like, I have a great and good, some below average of these fighters' lifestyles. So when I have an understanding of their lifestyles and how much weight they're cutting before a fight and what they doing, do they party, do they drink, do they have 14 girlfriends, you know what I mean? Because all that plays a part in your free testosterone, and how you win fights in impressive fashion is your free testosterone. And if you're 25 and partying, drinking, smoking blunts, fucking all these girls, you lack free testosterone, which builds muscle and your red blood cells. It makes your red blood cells retarded, and you lose red blood cells. So maybe I need to do this in a separate video and title it, because many of you guys aren't gonna make it this far. But the combination of your lack of red blood cells, retarded blood cells, and your free testosterone, you're gonna lose a lot of fights when you step up in these fights. So that's how I bet on fights a lot. So anyways, man, barbershop conversation that may be a little bit more anatomic than you would like it, but that's the truth. And that's another reason why I'm successful in life, per se, quote unquote successful. Everything is subjective. It's because I'm pragmatic. You know what I mean? I work out every day. I'm home at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? What I do in between, I'm fucking with y'all, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like that structure, having structure of positive habits builds and that consistency of it builds great habits. And when you do step out of line, you know what I mean, when you stay out to 2 or 3 o'clock, 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, or when you do fuck 2 girls in the night, or when you do go have a beer, or when you do go smoke a blunt, you know what I mean, it goes right through. It doesn't affect you as a person who drinks and smokes every goddamn day. You know what I mean? They're going to be popping pills at 40, 45-year-old, high blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, sitting on the couch. All they do is sit down and talk. You know what I mean? Like they say, the person who's talking bad about you is standing still or sitting down. And because they're doing that, you don't even have to worry about them. So anyway, hopefully you guys get the understanding of where I'm coming from the second half of this video. And we all make improvements, man, because I'm fighting Father Time as we speak. And we know Father Time is undefeated because we all will be 6 feet tall when that time comes. So anyways, man, barbershop conversation. I salute y'all. I love y'all. And hopefully you guys understood the second half of this video. I'll holla. Peace.